Hi everyone, I just wanted to make a quick little video showing some tips for incorporating the American Yawp material into the OpenStax text that we have. And so as you can see here, I'm in our WordPress platform. I'm looking at the page from Module 13 on gay rights and women's liberation. And so to get started, I'm just going to look at it, review it, see what's already there. And then as a first step, I'm probably going to come over here to OpenStax and find the corresponding content and see what's over there. And kind of my first thought on this is that it's kind of sparse. There's not a ton of coverage. And so I'm wondering, like, do we talk about it later, especially like the women's movement? And then the Stonewall riots, I know we mentioned them, but not a ton of detail. Yeah, Stonewall Inn right there. And so I'm wondering, do we have more elsewhere in the course? And one thing that we do have a search feature if you need to look within the course itself. So up here, my recording, in this, you have to be looking in this outward facing view of the course, but you can search for things like Stonewall. And so I can see, do we mention that maybe in the module 12? Do we mention that somewhere else? And when I do that, it'll show me all the pages that comes up on. So the Equal Rights Amendment, I can search for that, and it looks like, okay, we talk about Kennedy and civil rights. So do we talk about women's rights there? Here's the beginning of the women's rights movement. So maybe I want to come into that. And I can do a quick comparison to make sure like I don't need to add in a ton of information if we've already talked about it. So this is anti-suffragist, and it looks like this is going to be in module 5. So this is going to be pretty different from the women's rights movement of the 1970s. So that's not going to apply here. I'm looking at Kennedy, civil rights stuff. So yeah, so I don't see that it's really covered elsewhere. So with that in mind, I would look at this page and think, okay, so we probably need to beef this up just a little bit. So then I'm going to turn my attention to the American Yawp. So if I come here, this is that corresponding section, the unraveling. And I've already perused this a little bit, but if I come to this section, the politics of love, sex, and gender, here it goes into quite a bit more detail. It's talking about the sexual revolution. So it's considered private. It talks about, let's see, legal rulings, Roe v. Wade. And so then I want to go back to the page and I think, oh yeah, what do we say about Roe v. Wade? Roe v. Wade. And so to me, this is too short, right? In 1973, the US, yeah, they affirmed. And so I'm thinking, okay, we want to talk about it more. So I'm probably going to have Roe v. Wade. I'm thinking I might want to make that a heading 3, a subheading. I'll italicize that and put this under women's liberation movement. And then I'm going to make that heading 2. And again, we can worry about the heading size and things like that, but we really are hoping that you can help us really set that content and organize it in a way that's going to be very clear. So Roe v. Wade, and then I can come back to the American Yawp. And so then I see this. It talks about a second. Well, okay, first let's take this. So I'm going to go here and paste that in. I can do a Command-Shift-V, so paste it in without the hyperlinks. Either one will work, but again, unless it's a direct quote, we don't. And I mean, that's just a quote from the ruling, so that's not necessary. Same here. So we won't need to carry over those citations or attributions. But remember, if we want to, because it is that direct quote, all we would do is go here to 44. And then that's taking me down here. It's just, again, quoting Roe v. Wade. I'm going to copy that. And then here we have this footnote button, insert footnote, and do this. And then it does lose the styling, so I do want to go back and italicize that. But that's what that footnote would look like. So if I'm going to add this in, I'm going to put that in blue. But then I need to merge this with what's above, right? So I don't want it to be really syncopated. I want it to be have a nice flow to it. So I want to incorporate that with what OpenStax said. So yeah, for example, this gives us a little more detail. Okay, so maybe this could go towards the end. And then maybe I don't need this at all. And I don't need first. Okay, so I could do maybe start with in 1973, the Supreme Court ruled 7-2 in Roe v. Wade, which struck down a Texas law prohibited. Yeah, maybe something like that. Again, I don't want to spend all of the time on this video thinking that through, but I'm going to kind of tweak it, include it that way. And then I want to keep going. So many advances of women's rights for the role of greater engagement in politics. And so maybe, again, I'm not going to read it too carefully right now, but maybe I want to have women in politics subsection here. So that'd be heading 3. And then I keep going. And eventually we'll go through and do things like that. This figure 1, figure 2. And again, I'll make those kinds of edits, but just note that that'll be changing. So here's where we talk about the National Organization for Women. So this is the Equal Rights Amendment stuff. And so this probably needs its own section. Equal Rights Amendment. I'm going to make that a heading, and then I'm going to come back to the American Yawp. Equal Rights Amendment. Okay, so then we've got more detail here about that. Talks about the failed movement. And so I'm going to want to read this carefully and then pull this in and then get rid of, maybe I get rid of all of OpenStax. We don't use that at all. Maybe it's just this. But that's the kind of incorporation that I'm doing. As you do this and you say that it's Yawp, please, initially we had said don't worry about the color. Moving forward, we do want to keep it blue, just so that it's obvious what came from Yawp and what doesn't. So if you can indicate that by putting Yawp or just AY or something like that alongside the blue text, that will indicate that it's really clear. And then maybe you want to add your own introduction here. So the ERA was important because of this. And that's going to be your own words. So then I would write, yeah, own words even. So that way, we keep track of all of those attributions and citations. So maybe you're using green. Okay, so if we do that with American Yawp, don't forget we do want to take that citation attribution and carry it over. I think I already did that here, but so don't forget it's CC license shared previously because it is already openly licensed. It's got a description where it's from and then the URL to that page, and it is CC by SA. Okay, so once we do that, that's kind of the way we'll include American Yawp. And I actually already played with this page, and I want to show you those edits. So after you do that initial pass with American Yawp, either at the same time or the second pass is when you want to go through and add other things. So maybe in this section here, I thought, well, the stone wall is pretty huge, pretty important. It's worth maybe including a video. And so we use the examples box for that. We label it watch it. And then I had just taken a couple minutes and I combed YouTube to find a couple good options of videos, and I left those in. I'll show you in a second here. But that's something you could do. You could also leave a note to yourself, like consider connecting this to today's legislation about gay marriage and things like that. So like maybe having like a special box. And so this could be a note to yourself for later. Or that's something you can go ahead and include. I think sometimes I'm talking to some of you who've been hesitant to make changes. Go ahead and make those changes. And so if you've got an idea and want to pull from somewhere else, so maybe even like the same-sex marriage Wikipedia that is openly licensed. So maybe you already want to make a little paragraph and just add in a little modern day connection. Again, I'm not reading this yet, but you could do something like this. We could have a text box, and then it could be gay marriage today. And then we could pull in from here. I would, with Wikipedia especially, I don't like getting all those hyperlinks, so I do a special paste and then get rid of those things. And then I would highlight that in your color and do indicate from Wikipedia, and that way we know. And then either just indicate that and we'll take care of the attribution, or then you can come down here and add in the attribution to the Wikipedia page. In fact, there's already, oh, I added an image from Wikimedia as well. So let me show you, I did play with this a little bit before I started this video. So I want to show you what I ended up doing to this page. So let's leave our changes now and go to this version and show you what it looks like after some edits. And also Mark had a chance to look at this well. So once I looked at this, I thought, okay, so gay rights, we added in this image. This image does come from here. It was huge, and so we just made it smaller. So I downloaded that and re-uploaded that here. And then I said, maybe this, there's 2 short videos, or link to this. And then we changed the name to this to the women's movement. And then I indicated this here. And so I left this note so Mark can look at it again. But all of this is from, and we can indicate that. Well, I wrote that in the note there. But so what's blue text is going to be from American Yawp. And so then I did make that subsection Roe v. Wade and then incorporated. So I kept that one sentence from OpenStax. And this is all American Yawp. And then I kind of segmented it differently. So there's women in politics, and then the ERA, there was more detail from there. And then I thought that is also so important, maybe we need yet another video about it. So I found this one, and that's just a possibility. Another thing I added was the glossary at the bottom of the page. And so many pages have that already, some do not. Anytime there's key words or just things that are just like striking and important, we add that in a learning objectives box. We relabel that glossary. And then, as you can see here, we bold and then put a colon, and then we'll add in the definition there. So those are the types of changes I made to this page. And then a final thought, as part of this whole process, we do want to address the learning outcomes. So if you scroll up here, you can see I did that. It doesn't make sense that we would combine, I think, especially since we built out the content, to have that all contained just all covered under that one learning outcome. So I think the gay rights movement and women's liberation are distinct enough. They each deserve their own learning outcome. So this is my pitch for Mark to consider those. And so as you can see, what's happened here is that this will be pretty common, a lot of back and forth between Annika and myself, and then you as you work through the content. So typically you'll do a pass, and then we'll go through and leave some comments and for you, things for you to consider. And so that's what I did here. There's an asterisk and an M for Mark to come take another look. And Mark, I'm sorry I'm picking on you. This is you did a fabulous job, but this page seemed to work well as an example. Yeah, then you can come take another final pass and then make some more detailed changes. So like maybe Mark will come through and pick like, oh, this is the video that we want. And if that's the case, then let's get rid of this one. So you can go ahead and delete it, and you could say, yes, I like this one. And then you would go ahead and add an introduction, because then we'll finalize that and add it to the course. So it would be like the Stonewall riots were this and this, and another introductory sentence introducing the video. And then we'll know that that was your thoughts there. And you can leave it like that, because we'll come through and add in the correct attribution for that YouTube video down at the bottom of the page. Okay, so that's kind of the process of what it looks like adding it in. So you can see it can be quite time consuming. A lot of copy and paste from over here. With the images, I will mention we do need to actually download and re-upload those. And so maybe you want to add, yeah, any image somewhere. So maybe if we want to add this, so it's save image as, it's going to download to my computer, and then I have to pull it in. And then we also need to pay attention. If you do that, you could also leave a note asking us to do it. But if you add the image, we do need to add alternative text to it. That is a description for screen readers. And let's see, let's put this on the page and see what that looks like. Okay, so you click on it and click edit button. And then I would add text, add the description. And American Yawp often has that. Yeah. Um,